Hi, I'm John. I'm from Memphis, Indiana, and Susie and I train online at the Moto Academy with AJ.
Hello, Albert here for Oakland. This is round number 2, breakdown. We picked the sand section for this weekend and we're going to do the rhythm. That was right before the finish line. You to go rhythm, left hand, whoops, into the finish. They were doing some different stuff here in time qualifying, so gonna go over why and what's causing the bike to respond that way. And then sand section, I'm sure you guys are experiencing sand sections more than you're experiencing rhythm sections. So we can talk about body position and all that stuff going through the sand. If you guys wanna train with me online, you can go to themotoacademy.com. You can subscribe. Your first month, only $5 if you use code MOTO at themotoacademy.com. You can send in your riding footage for me to analyze, kind of like how I'm analyzing this footage. All right, so here's a couple B-roll shots of the sand. It always looks so easy to get through before the bikes go out. The problem with Supercross sand is that there's no bottom to it. The bottom is basically the wood floor that they put on top of the grass of these fields. So it just keeps going, going, going. What that means is that every lap you come through, it's different, which also means that you should stand up through it. Shimoda's standing that whole time through. I would choose that every single time. It just makes it easier to maneuver the bike underneath you. You see these guys will start to sit down when it has some definitive lines on the entry and they can trust that. But standing up, Shimoda standing all the way through the inside that time, he obviously would have not been able to get through there at all sitting. Once it goes to the slow-mo, I'll break this down a little bit more specifically. This section was tricky because you had to power through it, but then you had to slam on the brakes for this wall. A couple guys tried to launch it, but didn't work super well. Barsha was doing a good job of soaking up that wall. Sexton standing all the way through. You can see him get his foot on the rear brake nice and early. Good old cameraman Cam just shooting through the fence for no reason. Could have just aimed above it. Definitely could have just aimed above it. There we go, Mooskin standing all the way through. It may not look as fast, but I bet you it's equally as quick, and it's so consistent. All right, here's Barsha technically doing a lot of things wrong here. Inside foot's kind of all over the place. Outside foot was dragging the rear brake the whole turn, which isn't gonna help him. He's gonna want the foot on the rear brake coming through here, which he had it, just to get that bike slowed down. In a corner, sand especially, dragging rear brake will only stand the bike up, so it'll make it more difficult to turn. Here's Anderson just kind of making a line of his own down the middle. Standing up all the way through, outside foot on the balls of his feet, nowhere near the rear brake yet. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Whoa, he gets it last second, which is good, but definitely risky. Definitely risky, because you could jump far off that single if you don't get the foot back in time. All right, here's Roxon. He sits down nice and early. He's sitting because he sees 3 definitive lines here that he can trust for a hold. Outside foot placement, not the greatest, but the reason he does that is he goes to the rear brake right here. Watch him modulate the rear brake all the way through the last part of the sand, all the way up the wall. So he was doing that intentionally. Personally, I wouldn't drag the rear brake through the sand part like that, but it probably just makes it easier for him to start getting that bike to track and getting that bike to slow down before he gets to the wall. Here's Sexton. Outside foot placement, again, not completely the best. It's a little bit loose from the frame. That should always be a bit tighter. Barsha, same thing, toe pointed out on the outside, just a little bit. What that does is it causes his knee to bounce off the shroud maybe more than it should, and look at, he's just standing on the rear brake pedal coming through here. Barsha's really good at soaking up the wall. That's one exception to where you can allow the knees to blow forward, because you're trying to soak up such a short and steep obstacle that you have to allow the knees to cave forward, because your head has to come so far forward to make that work. The key thing here with these pros is even if they're making mistakes from the waist down and the footwork isn't ideal, what you'll notice is that for the most part, their heads stay in position. That's the difference between the pro guys and a novice or amateur rider. Is you'd watch a novice or amateur go through the sand section and their head would be left, right, like they're trying to dodge a punch to the face, where Even same thing, heel coming through here. Maybe elbows are droopy. There's some stuff, body position not perfect, but his head stays centered, and it allows these guys to go through here pretty darn consistently. All right, now we got the rhythm section. So it was a triple on, off, triple into the turn is what it started as. You could see the guys that are struggling when it goes into slow-mo. I'll explain more. Hunter struggled with this and didn't jump it until his heat race, or maybe even didn't jump it until the main event. He did finally end up getting it, but it took him forever. Here's Craig getting a 3 out. This is what those guys started doing. This was more difficult because the transition was weird. So when you go triple on and jump off, right there, it had a create like a long pitch of a downslope, and then the next jump was really short and really steep. So the key here is to jump off of the tabletop. You had to time it to go far on purpose. So watch Craig, he drops the front tire right at the base of the takeoff of the triple. What that does is that ensures that he gets that compression and rebound that he wants. If you land too high up, then your bike compresses, unloads, and you're not even at the top of the jump face yet. So watching this in slow-mo should make more sense of it. This is Hammaker. I don't know what he's gonna do yet here. He lands front tire first on the table, so what that's gonna do is push him through the off, which you don't necessarily want, because look at how high up it makes him land on that. And then in turn, the bike blows through the triple out. He still goes for it, which is very brave, ends up clipping it, and that's why. You always have to think about how the bike's going to be responding. So the solution to that for him would have been going longer on this on and actually landing back tire first so that the bike can pop. So Hunter lands front tire first, and you can tell just by how hard that hit was. He didn't land much on the throttle, then he lands too high up on that one, and then the bike blows through. So he doesn't feel comfortable tripling out. Here's Barsha jumping really far. Then that pops him deep into the pocket so he can easily go 3 out. Yes, this is on a 450, but it's still the same concepts. If you don't get the pop, I don't care how much power you have, it's not gonna work. There he goes 3 off the table. That's what everybody ended up doing. And the only way that worked is watch, these guys go deep onto that table. Oh, makes a mistake, doesn't go deep on the table, but he just goes for it. The easier part about that is you could basically just preload and go wide open and triple off of that tabletop. Lands back tire first. What that does is that makes sure he gets the pop on the next one. If you didn't want to get pop and you just wanted to push through the landing of the tabletop, you would land front tire first and it would plow you through, which when you do 3 ons, typically you do want to land a little bit front tire first, which actually when you went 3 onto the other tabletop on the track, that's exactly what you would do. So he powered to the ground, that means back tire lands just barely first. Also, he went pretty deep, so it gave him that pop without trying to have to preload or do anything special. That last double out is such a short and steep lip. Same thing, you can allow those knees to blow forward a bit. All right, Sexton's always a great one to watch. Standing a little bit more vertically, head super far forward. If you guys feel like you look like a goon in the air, and look, it gets the 3 off so easy, and look how far forward his head is. Knees staying pretty far back while he scrubs the double, head super far forward. In a perfect world, that's how you would want to look going through it. All right, well, there you have it. 7 minutes of just raw footage broken down for you guys. Hopefully you could take away a tip or 2 from that. The tricky thing is, yeah, this is Supercross, so it's very specific, but what I teach at classes is that you're not going to break a bad habit in one day. You're not going to break a bad habit in 7 minutes of footage that you're watching online, but what you can start to do is develop the skills to be able to see things and recognize what exactly is going on. So that way, step 1 is being able to recognize it in others, and then step 2, and the next level of progression, is being able to recognize that in yourself in real time while you're riding. So you can fix mistakes on the fly, or if you crash, you end up on the ground, you're brushing yourself off, you know what caused the mistake so you don't do it again. And this is how you become a better rider, plain and simple. All right, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Moto Academy. Again, use code MOTO and you get the first month for only $5. There's so much stuff on there. It's insane. All right, we'll see you in a couple days because we're just busting videos out like crazy. All right, toodaloo.